Alright, so this video is brought to you by my hand and a rock. Um, we'll see how this works. I'm in the 606 again because, as you can see, running. Because I actually love it, and the main reason is they have these mile markers every 1/10 of a mile, which is it's really nice when you're like trying to like figure out how fast you're going. You're like, okay, that was a 1/10 of a mile. I know what my pace is now. A few things I wanted to talk about. I want to see if I can figure out like a kind of a format where I find or I talk to people that I've never like maybe haven't spoken to about politics, you know, whether that's be like maybe a coworker or like a person I know from like, you know, food service or, you know, maybe a roommate. And I wanted to sit down and like record our conversation because I think it'd be interesting to see if I could, in real life, go back and forth with someone that maybe I don't agree with. There's a way to talk to people, and I don't think we're doing it right, but I don't know necessarily if talking to myself in a camera is necessarily gonna convey that as well as maybe talking to another person, right? Another thing that I want to just, you know, reiterate for everyone is that you know, as bad it all is right now, and it's terrible, that is from people every day fighting back against that. You know what I mean? Like, every day, the initial feminist movement was people fighting back against, you know, the people holding them back. And, you know, the civil rights movement was that, the gay rights movement. And this is a reverberation from all of that, you know, happening. Something's happening, and it's hard, and it's slow, but welcome to America. It's going to be very slow, but that's because we elect people that make it slow. The thing I've been thinking about for a while is we need protections for renters, right? Like, a lot of what gentrification is caused, like what a lot of like the bad gentrification is people who have rented homes for a lot of their life because they haven't been able to buy them because of, you know, circumstances, because homes are expensive. When that part of the neighborhood gets like better and home prices go up and it's like the landlord wants to sell the home, the renter has no rights in that situation. Even if they've lived there for 10 years, they have no rights in that situation. So I want to codify into law something that's like, there's like multiple ways you can go about it. You know, I think one of the ways that we could codify it is a right to residency. Like, if you've lived someplace more than 5 years, like if you can prove that you've lived someplace more than 5 years, you have a right to live there for, you know, however long, maybe for life, like they did in New York, which isn't perfect, but, you know, we need to protect these renters. These renters are getting out, and they help this community grow and prosper, and then they get bought out by big land surveyors, whatever you want to call them, you know, like big firm investors. And I'm not talking like, oh, you know, a 2-flat gets sold to another family and then the guy moves out because rent increases. No, I'm talking like a building's been there for 100 years and this family's lived there for 25 of them, and the building gets bought out and torn down and rebuilt. Those are the homes that we need to protect. So my 2 ways of going about it is, one, giving the renter just the right to rent in that place forever. If you live there for more than 10 years, say, and make it really quite hard to get, but still attainable, that would be one way. Another way would make it economically, which isn't necessarily the best. However, We need to get something that helps these people today, and then maybe a right on the books in 10 years, right? So how do we codify that economically? Well, I had an idea yesterday. What if we did something along the lines of like, after 5 years of living in one place, you have a economic right to that place. You must be bought out of that place after living there for 5 years. And that percentage is like 5, 3, something of the house's value at that time they want to buy you out. And then for every year that you live there past 5, it goes up like a percentage. So it's like 3, 4, 5, 6, and it goes up to something like 8 to 10. I don't know. Numbers, I need to like look at numbers and house prices and see if that works in Chicago or if that's too low or too high, whatever. Anyway, so if a family's lived there for 20 years and they do get bought out, and I'm like, you know, maybe, I'm not saying that economic development's bad, right? We just gotta find ways to help these people that are getting bought out. Whether that be they have the right to sell their protection, right? They have to be bought out, but they start the negotiations, or a way to codify those negotiations into law initially so that when they are bought out, they have something to lean back on to find another place to live. So something along the lines of like, you know, up to 10% of the house's value at the time. So that also gives economic incentive to renters to help increase their home value, because when the house gets appraised, that's how much money they're going to be getting. So there's probably 150 different reasons why that wouldn't work, but I think that's a great start for something that maybe will help a lot of people, and especially Chicago, but like a lot of other cities are having the same problem where people are getting bought out and built on, and then they have nowhere to go. You know, it's happening a lot in the US too. So just an idea, just something I wanted to get down on camera. And now back to running. Bye.